Okay, good evening, families. Thank you for coming. It's nice to see you all here. So today we have on the agenda the control of the traffic stop, and we're excited to have you all here. Before we get started, there is a QR code on the table. Go ahead and scan that. That's going to show you tonight's agenda as well as upcoming sessions and any reminders. And remember, if you want to see the full master schedule, that one you could find in the parent guide. Now it's my honor to introduce our speaker tonight, and this is Commander Velasquez. He has served with the Colorado Springs Police Department since 1997, working in property crimes, homicide, sex crimes, and patrol leadership. Now commander of the Sand Creek Patrol Division, he also holds a political science degree from CU Boulder and has completed advanced FBI and executive leadership programs. Families, please join me in welcoming Commander Velasquez.
Thank you. Well, welcome to our building here. It's relatively new. It's the newest police building in the Springs, even though it's been here probably, 5 years or so. So we're fortunate enough to have this room and this setup to be able to host members of our community and other trainings that we do. Tonight, what Ms. Hendricks asked me to go over is what I consider part of Police 101, and constitutional policing basically is Police 101 for me. We have a committee within Cspd called the Constitutional and Criminal Procedure Committee, so that we're all on the same point regarding the various requirements on a bunch of topics that are mainly most relevant for patrol officers as opposed to detectives, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But we put the committee together. We have our city attorney rep on the committee, so he vets everything that we think we know about the case law and ensures that we're following Supreme Court rulings, our U.S. District Court rulings, Colorado State Supreme Court rulings, and any statutory laws that are passed that are applicable to us. So one of the things that has come up over the course of time was just how much control do police officers have over people when they pull them over on a traffic stop. And you think it would be really clear, but sometimes it isn't so clear. And this is the exact same training that the patrol officers get during lineup training. They've already been trained on this topic. This is what we call ongoing training to just keep them refreshed and up to speed and all on the same page. So any questions before I get moving through? And if a question comes up as I move through the slides, just slow me down and ask it, and I'll see what I can do to answer it. This particular training block I created probably way back when I was a lieutenant, and that's kind of the origins of how we started this committee. Was just because of discussions that would happen during lineup before officers went into service. Whoops. I'm going the wrong way. So Fourth Amendment's a cornerstone of policing. This is where our authority comes from in this country. And we're responsible for ensuring individuals remain free from unreasonable searches and seizures. That's core to what we believe in this country. And so when we uphold the Fourth Amendment, we also uphold our core values that we're committed to protecting the constitutional rights of all people. And when we uphold that, we also uphold the Chief's vision or the Chief's principles of honor, humility, excellence, and responsiveness. And when we increase our knowledge about constitutional issues, we better protect individual freedom. And we also more effectively utilize the law to hold individuals accountable for criminal conduct. It does us no good to procedurally handle something in an incorrect manner, and then we lose on a technicality in court and we can't hold somebody accountable that should have been held accountable. So these slides are part of every single training that we do. So constitutional policing is not just about an individual case or circumstance. It's the foundation of the public's trust in their police department. If the people that we serve don't believe that we're following the procedures and the laws that are set forth by the people that they elected and the courts that are in place, then we lose that trust, right? That comes into question, and rightly so. Are you following the rules as somebody that's been entrusted with this kind of power? So our objective always changes with each one of these trainings, but the objectives are at its core always the same, which is increasing our officers' knowledge and understanding of their lawful authority, and in this particular training, to control traffic stops. We always put up on the slide the Fourth Amendment of the United States, and in here you'll see where we pull out terms, right? That people have a right to be secure in their person's, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. It doesn't mean that people can't be searched or seized. It just means that it has to be reasonable, and that warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, etc. And so when I was talking earlier about like detectives, we all have the same set of rules, but detectives generally run the process. And the process is, in order to search somebody's house, okay, or to arrest somebody, or search their car, is that they write up a warrant, an arrest warrant or a search warrant, and then they go ask a judge to sign that warrant, and then the judge, he or she either says yes or no. If the answer is yes, then we have the authority to come into somebody's home and search for the things that the judge said it was okay for us to search, or their car or wherever, or to arrest somebody. But there are also a lot of exceptions to the warrant requirement. And that's what these trainings are really built around, is what are the exceptions that have been ruled on in this country that allow us to arrest somebody without a warrant, or to detain somebody temporarily, as courts cases go through the system, what is okay one day goes and changes, and the next day it's not the same rules. But over the course of time, many of these rules have been put in place by the court systems, and they've been there for decades. You know, some of them like close to a century or longer, and they're still as relevant today as they were 100 years ago. We also go over in our trainings the primary reasons for the officer's action. And when you really look at case law across this country, that you could see that the courts give police officers a lot more latitude when it comes to public safety, okay? And public safety is really about, is somebody in danger in the moment, right? If somebody's being beat up in their home, our ability to kick in a door or come across a doorway in order to keep somebody safe, we have a lot more latitude with that. If we just want to arrest somebody because we think they committed a crime, let's say they committed shoplifting, a relatively low-level crime, if it's a misdemeanor, or city shoplifting is in a misdemeanor type category, then that is not an important enough issue that we just get to come across your doorway, open, closed, locked, or unlocked, to come in and arrest somebody, and we would have to get authority from a judge in order to do that. So while cops are always thinking about law enforcement and public safety, in any decision they make, only one of them can be the primary reason for the decision. One of the examples I give is that shoplifting example. So if I come up to, let's just say right here is a doorway, and ma'am, what's your name? Mariah? Okay, so I'm coming up because I have a shoplifting summons that I need to serve Mariah, right? And I don't know how much more you'll be talking, but you have that, okay, just in case. I have a shoplifting summons to serve you, and as I walk up to the door, the primary reason for my action is what? Is it public safety or is it law enforcement?
Law enforcement.
It's law enforcement, right? So let's just say I walk up and some friend or family member, we'll make it easy. It really doesn't matter, like I said, if the door's open, closed, or not, but let's just say it's open here. And I walk up on the porch to see if I can knock on your door, ask if you'd come outside, and then serve you the summons or ask if I can come inside. It's a law enforcement reason, so I just can't walk across this threshold. But let's just say I get up there and I see somebody in your house, boom, hit you in the face, right? Well, now the concern that I see, is that a law enforcement concern primarily or a public safety concern?
Public safety.
Public safety. So I can come in across that threshold without anybody's permission. There's some obligations for me to like knock and announce and say police and those sorts of things. But then I come in and I'm coming under the public safety authority to make sure that everything's safe. Okay, I might end up putting handcuffs on you. I might end up putting handcuffs on somebody else because I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to make sure everybody's safe. And then I'd go and say, do you need medical attention? Do you need medical attention? I don't know if you hit this person with the frying pan right before I came up on the scene or what all's taken place. But all of those actions are about public safety, right? And then at some point, after we get medical attention and all those sorts of things, then we got to figure out who's responsible for what, right? Do we need to arrest somebody? So once we start asking questions about who's responsible for this, is that public safety or is that law enforcement?
Lawful.
It's law enforcement, right? Because we're trying to figure out who needs to be held accountable here. And so it moves back and forth. Decision-making moves back and forth with police officers all the time. So we can be involved in that law enforcement as a primary reason for our actions now. And then let's just say a friend or family member of somebody comes barreling up and is all upset over what happened in here and they want a piece of somebody physically, right? So now we got to turn our attention to that person. Now, law enforcement or public safety? Public safety, right? Shifting back and forth all the time. So that is a key decision-making point for officers all the time. Every day they're going back and forth through this process.
Can I ask a question on that?
Sure. If you want to hand the mic over there, I'll get you if I remember.
Okay, so when it comes to the decision-making on when you first entered,
Yeah.
right? So in that scenario, you were able to enter because of a public safety,
Correct.
but you originally were there for law enforcement. So once you're in the house, how does that situation continue once you're back to that?
Good question. Good question. So the courts have basically said as long as our entry, right, into a constitutionally protected area was a lawful entry, then anything that we see what's termed in plain view, okay, is we have an ability to continue those actions. So let's just say that somebody alleged that Mariah had used a tool or something to hit you. Let's just say that was the other part of the story. And this is her home, but supposedly that tool got put in a drawer, right? And let's just say you've got no authority inside of this house. You're a guest, right? So at that point, I can't just go searching through drawers, right? Because that's beyond the scope of the entry that I made. Now, if you pointed out and went, yeah, it's that tool right there, you know, whether it's a hammer or a knife or whatever it is, on the floor, it's in plain view, that item and I are in the same place. And so I am allowed to recover that item that's in plain view. And I'm allowed to make an arrest of the people that I see inside of this home because my initial entry was lawful. Does that make sense?
Right, so once you enter for whatever reason, now you're in the house and nobody can do it.
As long as the reason is lawful, right?
But in that moment, you're the one that decides if it's lawful or
Correct. And if somebody thinks that we were out of bounds with that, and that's why we live in a democratic society, and you can redress your grievances with your government. That's why there's a few different processes that are in place. There's a complaint process with Cspd, and I'm pretty sure every agency around. And then there's also a litigation process, like someone could sue if they thought we were wrong, or they can go to the state attorney general's office, or they can go to the Department of Justice and say, I think what the officer's actions were wrong. And those sorts of things happen a lot. Like they happen in motions hearing. Like if I arrested someone and they were like, they shouldn't have come in this house at all. Well, that's going to be a motion. And then like one attorney is going to say that should have gone on, and another attorney is going to say, no, it shouldn't have. And then the courts will decide, and then like they'll either agree with that court decision or they'll appeal it. And then that's how it ends up potentially getting to the Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court will ultimately say, in that circumstance, it was okay for the police officers to do this, or it wasn't. And then that sets case precedent for everybody across the country. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. We use this second slide to help really just uncomplicate complicated situations, and it's called safety priorities. And so it's like fine motor skills versus gross motor skills. When something is happening in the moment, right, and like people's lives are at stake and those sorts of things, there's a whole lot of things that are going on. They got to know use of force laws, they got to know search laws, they got to know seizure laws, they got to know deadly force laws, all that sort of stuff. And so a simple decision-making process for us is that generally, if cops are making a decision that benefits someone highest on this list, it is a good decision, okay? So if we need to go into harm's way in order to rescue hostages, that's what we're here for, right? And hostages come generally before innocent bystanders because they're the most at risk, all right? And that's why, like, if we come on scene and someone's barricaded and they're upset and they want to shoot at people or they want to do whatever, like, our first question is there a hostage in there? Okay? If there is, then we need to set up with a crisis entry team, and depending on the right trigger, like, that would cause us, we may come barreling through that door, right, in order to rescue that hostage. A lot of times, though, there isn't a hostage, but there's somebody with a gun or something, and it's a really dangerous situation that we've just got to deal with because they've already threatened somebody or they've done whatever, right? And so then the next thing is, do we have any innocent bystanders in harm's way, right? Might even be in that house where someone's like an innocent bystander, but they're not a hostage, and then we're going to try and encourage that person to come out. But sometimes people are like, that's my son, or that's my dad, and I'm not leaving. Okay, well, we wouldn't advise that, but, like, hey, we tried, right? And then we have officers on this priority list, and if practical, slow down. Because if it's just a suspect by themselves, right, and we have hostages out of harm's way, and if we have innocent bystanders out of harm's way, then the danger is just between cops and suspects, okay? And if we can put the brakes on there, and if we can increase time, distance, numbers of cops and tools, then our odds on solving this problem, like without it escalating, actually gets much, much better. But if we rush into that situation with just, suspects and us, then at times, like, those odds go up that we're going to get hurt or worse or killed. And so it's just generally not a good decision-making process. So we use this model to discuss whether or not, like if our work was as sound as it should have been. And I'll tell you that cops never make perfect decisions, just like none of you guys ever make perfect decisions. But we try and push for high quality work, A plus work, right? A minus A plus. We're not trying to deliver C minus D plus work on a regular basis, especially not on these topics. And then at the top, you'll see the immediate defense of life. And that's a reminder for us, if something really horrible is happening actively, right? Like a shooting at a business, an ongoing shooting at a business or a school, it's go time, right? It's where we need to go, and we keep going until that threat is ended. And we should not be paying attention to this, if practical, slow down sign, because there's really lives at risk. Does that make sense? All right? So we'll get back to traffic stops. So they are seizures. And they are subject to the Fourth Amendment's requirement for reasonableness, right? Remember back on that other slide, it said we had to be reasonable. And then that was basically out of a court case in 1979 called Delaware v. Prowse that just says we have to be reasonable in what we do on these. So, question comes up, well, how long can an officer take to complete a traffic stop, right? Is it okay for us to just keep somebody there for 2 hours on a taillight out, right? Does that sound reasonable? No, right? You'll see a lot in court rulings about like 20 minutes is kind of a general time frame for us to detain somebody, to hold them temporarily. But that's not a court ruling. There's not a time limit specifically for detentions or traffic stop, but it's a rule of thumb. About 20 minutes is generally, if there's no complicating factors, somebody has their license, somebody has their registration and proof of insurance, and the officer's got to go back and check those things and then write a ticket and stuff. That's about the limit of how long we should have somebody there. But if somebody's got a warrant, or we can't get like the record back on their driver's license because it's not on them, then we get more latitude to keep them longer, but we can't keep them there forever. That would be unreasonable. So we can take the time that's needed to handle the matter for which the stop was made. And there's lots of different reasons why stops get made. Sometimes stops get made because we think somebody's DUI, right? That they're driving while intoxicated, and that's going to be a lot longer stop than a taillight out because we have to do an evaluation of them and their level of being under the influence.
So
Sir.
I hate to interrupt, but I got a good question about this traffic stop. I've seen several reels, videos, posts, whatever you call, about people who have stopped. Just want to get a clarification or more understanding is individuals pulled over. Officer approaches the car, says, I'm pulling you over, drive license, registry, all that stuff. And is individual allowed, or how far can they go with, what am I pulled over for? Is the officer required to state, I'm pulling you over for this? Or, because I've seen lawyers' reactions and stuff, I've seen people make clear, so I think we would like that clarification of that.
Yeah, it varies, right? With Cspd, it's part of our policy that we let people know why they are pulled over for the stop. It's, to my knowledge, it's not a lawful requirement to say that, but there's another term that you'll see in here that's called procedural justice, that we feel that it's procedurally correct to do that. Now, I can tell you at the beginning of my career, it wasn't the same, right? Because we would come up and I would come up, pull you over, and maybe I'd go, sir, I'm Officer Velasquez of Colorado Springs Police Department. Do you know the reason why I pulled you over? Right? I remember that. Okay? And there's a legal reason for that. Because if you say, yeah, I was going 55 miles an hour,
Admission of guilt.
admission of guilt, right? Which makes my case stronger. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So from a strategic point of view of the end goal of putting together a good court case, that makes sense. But then, and I'm only saying this because, like, I'm Hispanic and you're black, right? And so, but if you respond and go, yeah, because I'm black, right? That's
Yes,
the
I
reason
am.
why you pulled me over. Then we got a whole problem here and an argument that just doesn't need to happen. Right. So procedurally with CSPD, what we teach our officers is to come up and go, sir, I'm Officer Velasquez with the Colorado Springs Police Department. The reason why I pulled you over is that you were doing 55 miles an hour in a 30 mile an hour zone. Like, does it help us to get that admission of guilt? Sure. Is it worth the trouble when I've probably got a radar gun that already shows that you were going 55 miles an hour? It just seems to create more problems than it solves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, it does make sense. Yes, that did answer my question.
Okay. So we'll move on to the next one then. So yeah, we can We could check for driver's license, registration, proof of insurance, and then any warrants that someone may have. That's just part of what we do. It's part of our job and our obligation. So we've got in this slide series, can I, should I? And in some of them, there's how I. And can I really is just, it's a lawful question. Can I do this? Does the law allow a police officer to do this? Then the should I is, even though if the answer to the can I is yes, even if that answer is yes, should I?
For what reason?
Is a good idea. And that's also always situationally based, almost always situationally based. So we'll go some of this. So can an officer extend an already completed traffic stop? I pulled you over. I asked you for your driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance. You gave them to me. Let's just say I had that 55 in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. You don't have any warrants. I come back and I tell you, here's your ticket, and I've completed that ticket with you. So now can I keep you there any longer after that point?
I would say no.
Okay, we got a no. Anybody say yes?
That's what I'm saying.
Is there
Okay.
probable cause?
Okay. So we don't always need probable cause. There's a term called reasonable suspicion. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, the answer is no. No. An officer may not extend a completed stop without reasonable suspicion or other justification. Okay? And so if the can I is no, then the should I is always no. And so we should not have cops contemplating a should I, yes or no, when we know the can I is no. All right? So on this traffic stop, let's just say I go up to give that ticket. And just as I'm finishing, I look over in the center console of somebody's car, and I see what, in my training experience, is drug paraphernalia, maybe a Schedule II controlled substance, like that appears to be, unlawful. Can I extend that stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've got reasonable suspicion, or maybe even probable cause, that what's in this car is unlawful. So I can extend that stop. But if I don't have any other reason, then I cannot. Okay? And that was Rodriguez versus the United States in 2015. That one's not too old. In terms of Supreme Court rulings, that's pretty recent, right?
What was the case? I wonder.
So are passengers unintentionally seized during a traffic stop? So, sir, I pulled you over for speeding, right? And ma'am, you're a passenger. Let's say you've got 4 passengers in your car, right? Are you seized? You didn't do anything wrong, right? Like he's the one that was speeding, allegedly, until the court decides, right? So if you want to get out of this car, like it's a question, can you later on, but are you seized or are you not? What do you think? Didn't do anything wrong.
That's a tough one.
So we got mostly no's and a couple yeses. Okay. Go ahead, ma'am. You think you're free to go? Why?
I just naturally would say you're free to go because you didn't do anything wrong. You were just there when the driver got pulled over. But I mean, that's just
Okay.
my first thought.
All right, we got some hands over here too.
Where are you going to go though if you're in a car pulled over? I don't know.
I think it goes along with what you said earlier with the unless you have like suspicious reason or
You
whatever.
got a reason to suspect?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I
Okay.
think.
I mean, I think that like if you need like someone to like come with them or something, or like even like when someone's speeding and everything and there's a passenger, you need like both of them to come if like one of them's like resisting or something.
You think so? Basically, do you think we need an additional reason, or not?
No.
You think us just pulling the car over is enough to keep you there? All right, we got one more here. Oh,
I feel like I want to say that you should be fine to get out, but I believe that in that instance that it would be an issue if passengers started to get out, and I feel like you guys would say it was like a safety issue.
all right, here we go. All right. So the answer is yes. unintended persons can be subject to a seizure. And the court has consistently held that the government seizes drivers and occupants during traffic stop. No one in a car should feel they're free to depart without police permission. It's a key Supreme Court rule in Brennan v. California in 2007. And so what they're basically saying is that traffic stops are very dangerous, okay? It's one of the most dangerous things that police officers do, and that we should retain unquestioned command of that situation until that stop is over. So we own that stop. That doesn't mean we get to be jerks, right, and treat people poorly, but we have authority over everybody in that car. And so anybody that is especially getting ready to drive, and then they get pulled over, right? Let's just say you start driving and then you're like, you've got a passenger, you're that passenger, like, I didn't do anything wrong, I'm getting out of here, right? And then I'm the officer and I'm like, ma'am, you're going to stay right where you're at. And if you come out of this car, you risk getting arrested for interference or obstruction. And the way that I would handle that is I would say, please don't get arrested for or interference or obstruction. I don't want to arrest you for interference or obstruction. I just want you to stay in the car like you're legally obligated to do. And if you come out of the car, like I am going to arrest you, and force may be used against you. I don't want to use force against you. Just stay in the car. Got a question?
So are the passengers required to give identification?
We're going to get to that one. We're going to get to that one. All right. So, should officers keep passengers seized during a routine stop? Is the next question that we ask.
For safety reasons.
So, ma'am, you're like, yes, for safety reasons. You think for safety reasons. Okay. Anybody think differently? All right. Yeah.
Can I answer the question?
Yeah. Should an officer keep everybody in the car? Should we keep them seized when we have the authority to do it?
I mean, yes, because if they don't, you could arrest them. But if they keep running, you should probably tell the one person that's in the car to stay in the car, stay right here. Will your trust on them, and then go get that person, and then come back.
Yeah, so you're basically talking about an officer safety issue of divided attention, which it does happen that's kind of the reason why we keep everybody in the car, is that divided attention becomes a lot more dangerous for officers.
I learned that off my dad. He's a
All right. So here's what we teach with CSPD. The should I answer to this question is, well, it depends, right? We have the lawful authority. The can I is yes. Utilizing officer discretion is advised. Given the totality of the circumstances, you may want to keep passengers seized during the traffic stop, or you may want to release them. The example I always like to use is like the Stetson Hills Division. It's off of Tut Boulevard. Maybe it's because when I first was developing this training, that's where I was stationed at. But I say, let's say we pull a car over in the middle of the day. There's nothing, let's just say it's that taillight out or whatever. Nothing on its face that looks super dangerous, like, hey, there's a hit that says that this is a stolen car, like a hit in the system that says it's a stolen car. That'd be something different. I pull this car over and it's kind of closer to the come and go that's right there. Nothing looks complicated. I have the authority to keep the driver and let's just say one passenger in the car. And let's just say the passenger's female and she looks like she's 9 months pregnant. And she's got a come and go t-shirt on. And she says, I work at the come and go. I really got to go to the bathroom. Can I leave? Right? Can I just go over there? Do you think we should, even though we lawfully can keep her in that car? Does that make sense in that circumstance? You think it still makes sense to keep her in that car? It makes sense to let her out and just go to the bathroom, right? And I'm not saying that's 100% the answer, but I think most people would say that that's reasonable to let that lady go to the come and go, right? Now, if she says, hey, cop, you stupid, blah, 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 you know, blah, 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 and it's all of a sudden getting aggressive, and she's 9 months pregnant, and you guys are always hassling us and whatever, and I'm going to go over to the come and go. Like, is that a little different? Right? Do I have more concern that she might double back and cause me a problem? Right? So it's situationally dependent. Go ahead.
So I'm kind of playing devil's advocate.
Sure.
You said she's how many months pregnant?
Let's say 9 or whatever. We're speculating.
So
unless she tells
speculating
us,
wise,
right?
we could say, well, we don't get her, or we just keep her, and she decides to come back. I want to file a case or anything. She could say, well, I would feel the PD department has the ability to say, well, it may have been, excuse me, ladies, hormones at that time. It may have been that pregnancy, so she was just in her way. So it's kind of if you let her go, you're in trouble. If you keep her, you're in trouble. It's a double edge. It's all the officer's discretion.
I would say that they're not in trouble for keeping her in that car under that circumstance.
Right. That's me defending that.
And probably even in the first one, they're not technically going to be like in trouble over it because there's not a policy against that, right? And the law says that they're okay. But is that a coaching, training, and mentoring discussion that we can have with an officer that like, hey, man, sometimes we can make a little bit different decision here, maybe a better decision? Yeah. But those are the types of circumstances cops are faced with all the time. Like, it's never like just super clean. Where's the mic? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay. What do officers generally do if you get pulled over, somebody's speeding, and the wife's in the car screaming, I'm in labor, I gotta go, I have to go to the hospital now, I'm in labor. I'm just curious, what happens in that situation?
Like, we would most likely call for medical to come code 3, which means lights and sirens, to deal with that.
So the traffic stop would continue, I assume, once you get there. Okay.
I think we would look at that and just could somebody be shining us on? Sure. Could it be the truth? Sure. Right? But you go right back to public safety, right? If she says, I'm having a baby in the moment, what's more important, a taillight out or this lady having a baby in the moment? This lady having a baby in the moment. So let's, instead of them in a panic going barreling down the road and maybe blowing stop signs or stoplights and going to get in a TA, the safest thing is just to bring the emergency provider to her, right? And does that mean that the guy will still get a ticket or won't get a ticket? Let's just say if it's husband, I don't know, maybe not, right? Discretion, absolutely. So, can I detain passengers during a routine traffic stop? And do you notice did you notice the difference in the words from the previous one? What was the previous one? Unintentionally seized. Okay. So can we detain passengers during a routine stop? And when I mean a routine stop is driver commits a violation, driving violation, and we pull them over for that. I am not talking about there's a big fight at the park and they said all these people, there are 4 people that were in the fight and they all jumped into this car and took off, because then we've got issue with all 4 of those people in the car as opposed to the driver. Does that make sense? So on the routine traffic stop, can I detain passengers? Yes. So we got a bunch of yeses going on. Well, no. Okay. And this is how things can get really complicated for police officers, right? The unintentional seizure of passengers is not the same thing as a lawful detention based on independent reasonable suspicion. So, if I have a car pulled over for a routine traffic stop reason, can I go up to any passenger and say, ma'am, can I see your identification? I can do that. It's a request at any time. And can you say, no? No. Right? Yes, you can. Do I have authority to now hold you because you said no? No, I don't. Because I'm going beyond. There's a difference between an unintentional seizure, which is you just need to stay there, right? But when we have reasonable suspicion that someone has committed a traffic offense or criminal activity, then we can require you to tell us your name, provide identification and the reason, a brief explanation of why you were doing what you were doing, right? But they're under no legal obligation to do that. So if we're not clear with officers about the difference between an unintentional seizure and a detention, do you see how they could maybe unwittingly start detaining people as opposed to only keeping them under that unintentional seizure authority? Right? Okay. Can I order a driver out of a vehicle? So you got no? Did you say no? Yes. Got a yes? Got some yeses and nos. All right, here we go. Yes. An officer may order a driver out of a vehicle, any vehicle, tail light or no. The safety of the officer is a legitimate, weighty concern, outweighing the minimal intrusion suffered by the driver who is told to get out of a lawfully stopped car. Should I order the driver out of a car?
Situation. She took my answer.
Got some yeses, but yeah. Well, it depends. Okay? You may or may not want to order somebody out of the vehicle. And again, what we try and teach, and we're going to go over this term in a little bit, it's called procedural justice, right? To handle similar situations in similar ways, no matter if you're in any part of the city, whether it's the richest or the poorest part of the city, procedurally we should be handling those things in a similar manner. So if we suspect that somebody's DUI, should we tell that person to get out of the car, whether it's in the poorest part of the city or the richest part of the city? Yes. Yeah, right? No other complicating factors. Somebody is very compliant with our directions on that tail light out anywhere in the city. Does that make sense generally to order that person out of the car? No. So, but there's a lot of different little nuances that can come into any situation that can turn it on a dime. All right. So, can cops order passengers out of the vehicle? Yes? Yep. Any no's? What do you think? So the courts really never say it depends. The courts usually say yes or no.
Then I'm going to go with yes.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. You may order passengers out of the vehicle. This ruling extended the ruling from MIMS that there's a great interest in preserving the safety of the officer, and the risk to harm to both the police and the occupants is minimized if we routinely exercise that unquestioned command. And so this is where some people can get themselves into trouble, because if we are like, I need your driver's license, your registration, insurance. I don't have my license on me. Okay, well, what's your name? I don't have to give that to you. Yes, you do. And so we might try to work that out, like talking to somebody at the door. But at some point, we're going to be, you need to step out of the car. Well, I don't want to step out of the car. You mistake me, sir. I'm not asking. I'm ordering you to step out of this car. Please don't get arrested for interference. Please don't get arrested for obstruction. I don't want to arrest you for interference or obstruction. I just want you to give me the information that you're legally required to give me, right? But make no mistake, you're coming out of this car when I tell you to come out of this car. How you choose to come out of this car is up to you, because the amount of force that we use on somebody should be dictated by their level of resistance, right? Like, we shouldn't just come up and go, I need you out of this car, boom. I can punch somebody in the face, right? But if we start pulling on somebody to get them out of the car and they start swinging on us, as a commander of a division, would I be okay with an officer throwing a punch? Yeah. It's all dependent on the situation, okay? So should I order the passengers out? It's really the same thing as the other one, right? It all depends on the situation. And we should be consistent with like how we're handling those. Nothing's ever going to be exactly the same. So here's our traffic sergeant, and have you guys heard about sovereign citizens, right? And like, they just throw out a bunch of gobbledygook that doesn't mean anything, and they really just try and back police officers off and spook them, right? And to go like, oh, I'm going to sue you, and you're going to be in so much trouble because you're violating my constitutional rights and all that stuff. But if we know our job, right, and we know these principles, then we don't have to be worried about sovereign citizens at all in terms of legal authority. Do we have to be worried about them carrying guns and knives and things like that? Absolutely we do. So we have a little discussion, and then I'm going to show you a video. Of an actual traffic stop.
Hello, I'm Commander Velasquez, and I head the Constitutional and Criminal Procedure Committee. With me today is Sergeant Paul Malco, who's also a committee member, and we're going to be talking about sovereign citizen traffic contacts. Sarge, first of all, do people who hold these sovereign citizen beliefs have any more or any less rights than anybody else in this country?
No, they hold the same rights that every other citizen in the country has.
Do they like to act like they have other rights?
Yes, they do. Maybe not rights, but they act like they're exempt from certain federal, state, and local laws.
What type of things do they like to say to try and prevent officers from doing their job?
They like to tell an officer on a traffic contact that they're a traveler, they're traveling, they're not engaged in commerce, they're operating a conveyance, not a motor vehicle, they're not harming anybody, things like that, that just, it's verbiage and it has nothing to do with the traffic contact.
Are these people accountable to federal, state, and local laws?
Yes, they are. Like every other citizen, they're not exempt from any state, federal, or local laws.
We're about ready to watch a video where an officer does a great job of handling one of these interactions, and even if an officer does a great job on one of these traffic stops, is he going to be finished in 15 minutes?
Generally, no. It'll take a period of time to get the documentation that's required to complete that stop, and most of that is driven by the sovereign citizen because of the debate they choose to engage in. However, if the chess game is played correctly, generally, you will eventually get the documentation that you need to complete that traffic contact or complete a citation for that violation.
And we need to verify these people's identity because there's no point in issuing a summons to someone who we can't verify their identity, correct?
Correct. Typically, they do have some sort of identification, and you need to push and get that identification. However, you can't get that. A lot of times they do have their vehicle registered with the Department of Motor Vehicles, so you can do a VIN search. And a lot of times you can find a registered owner, a lot of times matching the driver and go forward like you would with any other traffic contact with somebody without an identification.
And eventually getting to a photo that you can match up against this person.
Yes, through those databases you can find a photo that matches.
Is it important to have a cover officer and or a supervisor with you during these traffic stops?
Yes, it is. If you identify a sovereign contact, you should immediately call for a cover officer. And if the contact goes on for a period after that, you should get a supervisor in route as well. So if the contact does escalate to the point where force is used to remove the citizen from the vehicle, you have a supervisor on scene.
Okay, we're gonna watch that traffic stop now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions on that? That all make sense? Okay. Okay, hold on 1 second. I don't think it's going to start playing yet, so.
Okay.
What was the question?
I'm not too familiar with sovereign citizens. Is that something similar to like a foreigner, or is that just somebody who thinks they're sovereign?
So they're generally U.S. citizens who think that they're not accountable to many of the laws that are in place for all of us. Sometimes they will think that they're only accountable to the sheriff in the jurisdiction and a whole bunch of other gobbledygook that they just that they've never won in court. They've never gone to the Supreme Court and where they go, oh, well, yeah, because you say you're a sovereign citizen, you're not accountable to any of these laws. But they can get really boisterous and aggressive at times. There's been shootings, like on traffic stops with sovereign citizens across this country, where they're like so set in their ways, and then they're like, I'm not coming out, and they start coming up with a gun, and then there you go, right? Then you're in a deadly force encounter. Some of them are people that, sir, we were talking about, hey, your kids look up stuff on the internet and they learn how to get around this or that. They're people who will look up this stuff. They're not like sovereign citizens, like hardcore, right? But they're like, I think I can use this to get out of a traffic stop. I think I can get out of this ticket if I just start saying all this sort of stuff. And then occasionally, it doesn't happen very often, but occasionally we're like you need to step out of the car, and then they won't, and sometimes they'll like roll their window down this far. Sometimes we can deal with that, sometimes we can't. And but if we were to tell somebody to get out of their car and they don't, and then we would probably tell them something to the effect of, we're going to break your window out of your car. You're coming out of this car, right? And a lot of times, it's a rare occasion for that to happen, but from what I've heard, I haven't been present for one of those. Like the window gets broken out, and then that person who thought that they could just say, I'm not coming out of that car, all of a sudden they go, whoa, this window's busted. And they're like, whoa, 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 I'm coming out, I'm coming out, I'm coming out, right? It's like, why didn't you just come out when we told you to? Why do we have to bust your window to get you to come out of this car? So does that give you a little bit of a background on it?
Yes, it does.
That's good.
After you break the window, or if you do, don't you have to pay for it?
In that circumstance, probably not. There are certain circumstances where we do have to pay for stuff that we damage. But that would get worked out through the court system and through other systems where someone would say, you broke my window, I think you owe us money. And we might go, you caused us to break your window, so we're not paying for that, and you can take us to court if you want to. So it depends. Ready for the video? All right, here we go. And again, this video, this actually takes about an hour for this traffic stop to be completed, and that's driven by how much this driver doesn't want to be compliant with this situation. But we've cut this down to like 4 minutes.
Hello, Officer Bowman's Colorado Springs Police. Reason I'm stopping you is for the plate. It's not a real plate. Get your driver license, registration, insurance on it. Also notice that you're not wearing your seatbelt as well today. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. I need your driver license, registration, and your insurance. We are not having a discussion about that topic, okay? Okay. I am asking you for that information, okay? No. At this point, we're not asking. I'm demanding it of you. Yes, sir. Do you have that information? You are, sir. Listen, I don't care what you read online. Okay, that's done. We're not playing that game. We're not playing that today. I need your driver license, your registration, and your insurance card. Yes.
Do you feel like you're doing the right thing, going against God's law, and
Oh, God.
You do not have a right to drive, sir. You have a privilege to drive. You have a right to travel. You are free to get on your boots and walk away. However, when you drive a motor vehicle, you're driving a 2,000-pound vehicle, you are required by the state to have a driver license to show that you are capable of driving these. No, we're not going down that rabbit hole. If you're refusing to provide me your information, you're going to start working this another angle. I'm not having a conversation. Nope.
Watch this.
Nope. We're not having a conversation about this. Okay. Are you refusing to give me your driver license? You are, because I've asked about 5 times so far.
Okay, officer.
Okay?
I'm trying to be calm, cordial, and straight.
Tom 19, let's start with supervisor.
Yes, it.
Yes. That's not going to prevent me from doing what I need to do at the moment, though. Are you refusing to give me your information? This is, no.
I'm not standing on any.
Listen, that's fine. That's fine. But here. You're free to record. There's not a problem with that. That's not bothering me. The window's not bothering me. I know the games that you're playing today. I do need your driver license. This is a simple yes or no question. Are you going to provide me with a driver license today? No. Are you refusing?
I'm not willing to provide information that you
Okay. That's not how it works, sir. Your words is what you have. Okay.
I'm going to remain silent and not answer any of your questions.
You are required to provide those 3 items, though. Okay. You don't have to provide an explanation for anything else. You're right. You do have a right to remain silent on certain topics. However, you are required to provide your license, registration, and your proof of insurance, as those are common vernacular. Hold on. In common vernacular terms, we would describe it as a driver license. I know you may not like that term, but is that what you were talking about with a straw man name, or are you having a different document? Yes, sir. Okay. What is the other document? Can we see that? No.
You have to see something in the pictures, something that's been issued by the state of Colorado or another state here in the U.S.
If you can. You can hold it against the window. Hold on a second, then. Just cleaning your window because it's very dirty. Hold it up over here for a second. You have window tint and I can't see it. Thank you.
If you don't want to engage in that business, then you cannot drive on the street.
What's up? Totally going with evidence. Okay. Just make sure you're on board with that too. You want to let them know that we're taking them first? Okay.
So they're taking their license plate because it's a bogus plate.
It's a fake?
Yeah, it's fake.
So, yeah.
One of the charges is going to be not having a valid registration on your car. Okay? One of the ways that we prove that is the license plates that you have on your car are not valid. So, when you go there, talk to the judge, he says you get them back, you get them back. But until that time, we're going to go on.
Meaning the plates.
Okay?
So because it's your vehicle, sir, we'll give you the opportunity if you would like to remove them. Otherwise, we use a screwdriver and just take it off. That would require you to get out of the car. They wouldn't do that. So, ahead of you have pedestrians that may be crossing the roadway. And drove a vehicle without a valid driver's license because your license is not valid. Okay. Do you have any questions on the charges? Within reason, please.
The only thing is I don't understand any of the questions.
Okay. Do you need me to re-explain anything? Okay. Good. Thank you. So it's mandatory court appearance, meaning that you do have to appear for your court date. If that show up, you forget, it may turn into a warrant for you, at which point you can go to jail. If you can't make it to your court date for whatever reason, court's information is going to be down in this section here. There's their phone number. Get the court's call ahead of time before something out the court system. Okay? So we have your copy to you. Do you have any questions? There you go, sir.
I won't.
Any other questions? You're not allowed to drive the vehicle either. You can park it right here. If I see you driving this car, I'm going to drop some more tickets on you.
That took an hour, like almost an hour, to deal with that guy. So this is that procedural justice that I was talking about. The way that I like to look at this is that... Go ahead. Okay, question?
Were you in that, were you the one who gave him the ticket?
No. I don't give
Were you
tickets
there?
anymore. I sit behind a desk in this building most of the time.
Were you there?
Nope. Just one of my, I think it was Sergeant Malco that told me that he had a really good example of an officer just working their way through that situation. To Chief Vasquez brought forward really a term that came through the International Associations of Chiefs of Police, at least that's when I first saw it, which is procedural justice. That if we do things in a procedurally just way, right, then we are on point, right? And that these are the four things. And I'm going to start the second one down. It's like an opportunity for voice, right? That we should give people an opportunity for voice when it's the correct situation. If someone's pulling up a gun and pointing it at us, is it the time for us to be listening to what they have to say? No, right? Like, did they give this gentleman on the traffic stop an opportunity at voice, right? Probably too much, I think most people would argue. Sometimes there's folks that'll see videos like this and they're like, you were way too patient with this dude, right? I would have dealt with him sooner. Maybe so, right? We could have done that. We're going to talk about that in a second. But transparency in their actions, right? The officer that pulled this driver over, was he trying to hide anything? Or did he just say, hey, I pulled you over. This is the reason why I pulled you over. I need these documents, and you need to do this stuff. Like, he wasn't trying to play any games with him. It was just telling him, you got to follow the law like everybody else does out here, right? And impartial. Like, he's impartial in his decision making. It was the choices that this guy made that got him one ticket after another. The license plate that isn't valid, the seatbelt that he doesn't care to wear, the driver's license that he doesn't think that he's accountable to have, and anything else that was in there. And so if we do all of the bottom three things well, then we're fair in our processes, right? And that's how you achieve procedural justice. So you got here that they explained that, right? They gave a reasonable, he gave a reasonable opportunity for them to comply. He was willing to listen, but he wasn't willing to be distracted by this nonsensical gobbledygook, right? He's like, we're not playing those games. I'm not having a conversation. You're going to give me the information that you're required to give me. He was impartial, right? He knows that these folks don't have any more or any less legal protection than anybody else in this country. And there you go. By all three of those things, we showed fairness in our processes. Now, we could have handled this differently, right? In the video, the officer was able to confirm the identity of the driver, but had he not confirmed the officer's identity, they would have been able to use their lawful authority and procedural justice to proceed in a manner similar to what I already explained on some of those other traffic stop examples we went over, right? Order the driver out of the vehicle. Ask the driver if there's anything within reason, not anything, right? Because you'll get some crazy stuff from people. Well, yeah, I want my congressman to come down here right now, just some crazy stuff. No, what's within reason? That the officer can say that will get the driver to comply with the order. We're not going to promise the world, right? Sometimes it could be someone saying, well, can you say please? Right? Is that reasonable? Yeah, I'd say it's reasonable. And so we go, okay, please. And then they go, say pretty please with sugar on top. Now you're playing games. Now we know that you don't want to be reasonable, right? You just want to keep playing these dumb games, and we're not going to play them any longer, all right? Warn the driver about physically interfering in our duties by not exiting. Warn them that they'll be arrested for interference with the public official or obstruction. Tell the driver they're under arrest for interference. Warn them that force will be used against them. Tell the driver they'll also be arrested for resisting arrest if they physically arrest. And proceed with using force to effect that custodial arrest now. Now it's not just a ticket. Now you're going someplace. You're going to go downtown at minimum to get photographs and fingerprints. All these steps can be handled, likely be handled in a calm and deliberate manner, right? Methodical. With each step is an opportunity for the driver to comply. And then we don't have to go down that road. Now, if I tell you you're under arrest, like, we're done. Like, you're getting arrested for obstruction. You had opportunity to not get arrested for obstruction or interference before. And now we cross that bridge, and we're staying across that bridge. What you can prevent is force being used against you in that arrest. But now I'm not going to get sweet talked out of not making an arrest when you made me go through all of this, right? And that just helps us show how nonviolent means would be ineffective. That's a term from the use of force law in Colorado, which is we have to, when it's reasonable, use nonviolent means until we know or believe that they'll be ineffective. We just gave them a little reminder here. We have legal authority to conduct a frisk check for weapons, right? We can do that on a passenger compartment of a vehicle if we reasonably believe the suspect is dangerous and may gain immediate access to control of weapons. They may be frisked if they're out of the vehicle, as long as they're not under custodial arrest, because then they're never going back in the car. If another suspect's present and they're not under custodial arrest and we still have that danger, we can frisk them because we have the same concerns. Closed and unlocked containers can be searched during a vehicle frisk if they could contain a weapon. If it's super small, then no. And locked glove box can be searched under a frisk. But other than a locked box, generally locked containers cannot be searched by court rulings. So this is the committee. Of all our committee members, you can see that we've got police officers that work in patrol divisions. We have training instructors. We have Mark Enomoto. He's a sergeant investigation. He's going to be the one that's going to, he's with Internet Crimes Against Children. He's going to come go over that subject with you. He's on this committee. The training division commanders on the committee, and I chair the committee. And so that's like our training about how we control traffic stops.
I have a question that's like completely off topic. So if we're like driving like just like a parking lot or like a church lot, can we still get pulled over and arrested if we don't have a permit?
There's generally three things that you can get cited for on private property: careless driving, reckless driving, and DUI.
Okay.
Limitations on backing, I think, is another one that you can, backing up. But those are the general ones.
Okay, since we're off topic, my teacher brought this up in school. I can't remember why, and me and my mom have been talking about it, and we don't know. So, does Colorado Springs have a no chase policy? Like, if you are speeding and a police officer tries to pull you over and you are going like in a crazy, unreasonable speed, and there's like a lot of like traffic around, like, do we have a no chase policy? Because my teacher told me we do, and I was like,
we have a pursuit policy. I'm on that committee too. And generally speaking, we don't chase traffic, okay? But that doesn't mean we don't chase anything. And that doesn't mean that when someone takes off and eludes us in a dangerous manner, that's not felony eluding. That's a felony crime and not a traffic ticket anymore. And that doesn't mean that there aren't surveillance cameras around this city, and there aren't flock surveillance cameras around this city, and that we can't find out who you are, and that we have another thing that's called a vehicle public nuisance ordinance, and that doesn't mean that we can't come and seize your vehicle through a different process and take it from you as long as we go through the correct processes. So if there was somebody who was thinking about doing that, It's a bad idea if you've got your own car. If you have your parents' car, it's a horrible idea.
I would.
Yeah, but there are a lot of other things that we can do. We're just not going to put people's lives at risk in the moment over traffic, but that doesn't mean we're like, it ain't no problem.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It was because of like how population dense we are, because it can cause
and this is one of those
accidents
things
and stuff.
we talked about before, which is you could go to, I don't know where, Arizona, Alabama, Connecticut, and they could chase you till the wheels come off. And they may pitch you, right, at 110 miles an hour over what started as a taillight out. And the Supreme Court backs them on that. Like, we choose not to do that here. But the Supreme Court has said that's a responsibility of that driver not pulling over. It is not the responsibility of the officers. But this is a really great example of, like, can we pursue those things per the law? Yes. Per our policy, certain things, no. Other things we do.
I have a question. So this information that you gave us today is very straight to the point, easy to understand.
Sure.
How is there a way that the community would be able to access something that is this clear cut? I ask that because I know the past few weeks, especially, I've seen a whole lot of videos of people with like the videos of like not having to show things, putting a sign to the window, all of those things that are circulating, which clearly are not accurate.
Sure.
So is there a way for the community as a whole to access something this simply put?
So this training isn't available for public consumption unless there's someone like me here that's delivering it. It doesn't mean that it could never be, or like basic principles of it couldn't be, but it's generally best given in like this format where it's like where there's some questions that we talk about, nuances and those sorts of things that we go over. My general experience, and I'm no YouTuber, blogger, whatever it is, that part of the problem is what seems to get the most clicks are the sexiest things on YouTube and stuff, and the car chases that are going 1,000 miles an hour, whatever it is. But it's something we could explore, because like I wanted to make sure that our whole agency got this training, and we got it a few times. Like, we're all on point, right? And then I've always had in the back of my mind, like, I don't have a problem showing this stuff to the community, right? I'm here now. There's no secrets here. And so it could potentially, we could talk to the PIO's office, the Public Information Office, about putting out some information. I don't know if they would put out this whole training.
Right, even like, a quick like one pager, just because, like I said, like thinking about like situations, if everybody is feeling like these are things that you're allowed to do, that makes everybody into a situation that they don't need to be into.
No, I'm just laughing because I'm like, man, the high quality of a patrol officer I could be after 28 years of experience in the field, right? Like, compared to being new and figuring all this stuff out. I'll tell you, on a traffic stop like this, I'd be like, you have to come out of the car. No, I don't. You got your phone with you? Yeah? Google Brendan v. California. I'm going to be back in 2 minutes.
That's smart.
And we'll see if you're going to be coming out of that car. You know what I mean? But man, it's taken a long time to get a lot of these nuances down. I've shared these trainings with other agencies, and they'll go, what? Like, I didn't realize this part. They knew like 90% of it, but they didn't know like the final 10% of some of the training. And it's hard. It's just hard work, man. Things are fast moving. Think of anything else where, like, with somebody's liberty, their freedom, and their lives potentially at stake, that you have to be on point and be able to move and decide, like, on life and death chess match situations while also following like all these requirements. it's hard work, man.
Okay, so as a mom of 2 new teenage drivers,
Sure.
should they ever get pulled over, how can I advise them to stop? Do they need 8 powers or 25? Just pull off slowly, or a parking lot or a gas station? What is the safest thing?
So safest thing for them to do is if there's, lights and sirens behind them, is they find the quickest and safest place to pull over on the side of the road. Okay. And generally, like in the city, in most places, it's just pull over to the side of the road. There's certain places like on the highway, like if you're in a construction zone, there's no good place to pull over. Like going a little bit further can be okay. A lot of times officers won't try and pull a traffic stop, even if they see the violation like way back here. They'll get to the safest spot and then they'll light somebody up, put their lights and sirens on, because they want to pull them over in a safer spot.
Okay.
If they start going too long,
Right.
you start making cops really nervous.
Yeah.
Like, about why is this taking so long, and is somebody going to flee? Do they have a gun in the car? Are they thinking about ambushing me? All those sorts of things, and that's what you don't want.
Okay.
Right? You just want to pull over relatively quickly, and then just have license, registration, and proof of insurance, and keep their hands visible where we can see them.
Okay.
Because that's what officers are trained, is that when they come up to the car, they're clearing stuff. I'm not going to go over all those things, but essentially they're making sure that they're not going to get shot or killed on that stop.
Right.
Because 1,000 may go just fine and 1 may not, and they got to be ready for the 1.
Okay. So one more, so sorry. When they stop, if they have their parents' registration or something on their phone, do they need to ask permission to pick up the phone? Because you can't use your phone in the car now, right? Like holding it. So do they need to say, I need to pull this up for you?
I would just ask,
Just
if they got their
clear.
registration if they got their driver's license and say one document, but the other one's on their phone, just to ask, officer, my proof of my proof of insurance is on my phone. Can I show that to you? Can I, if they're what I wouldn't do is just reach around inside that car real quickly.
Without saying
Just
what
go,
you're
hey,
doing. Yeah.
my cell phone has my insurance card on it. It's in the center console. Is it okay for me to reach and grab for that? And then just follow whatever the officer tells them to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You kind of asked one of my questions, or answered already. So when you get pulled over, would you recommend waiting for the officer to come to the window before you reach for your stuff?
Generally, I would say yes, because they're not in a super hurry, right? They're not trying to get this done in 3 minutes, right? And so the more this stuff is going around, because we can see inside the cars, okay, the more this stuff is going on, the more nervous they get, that what are you reaching around so much for? And the more frantic and fidgety, it gets even worse. And so if you're just if I got pulled over, right? And especially because a lot of times I'm armed. I have my off-duty gun on me. If I got pulled over, my hands are right here, right? Because I want the officer to be able to see my hands. And then because I'm in a different category where I'm allowed to carry a gun concealed and all that stuff, I'm just going to explain that stuff. I'm going to explain hey, I'm a commander of the Colorado Springs Police Department. If, let's just say, someone that doesn't know me, sheriff's officer, something pulls me over, I do have my off-duty gun on me. How do you want to handle this, right? And even though it may be a deputy or an officer level rank, and I'm a commander in this police department, I'm doing what that deputy tells me to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
All right.
And then I have one more question. Earlier you said that sometimes, depending on how things go in court, that there's rules that are updated.
Yeah.
When those updates happen, what is the procedure of making sure the officers are updated to that, and is there a timeline from the time that the court ruling until you guys have to abide by
Yeah,
it?
it's I'd like to say it's perfect, but it's not necessarily perfect. So that's part of the reason for our whole committee. Our committee handles these core constitutional issues, but there are a lot of other laws that get updated over the course of a year generally through the state of Colorado's legislature with approval of the governor signature. And then those laws they'll say this is coming out July 1st. And so there's some prep time, and then we've got a part of the department that pays attention to that, and then they roll that out and they update the officers when it's coming. Sometimes laws are just complicated, and like even when lawyers read what legislators put into law, they're like, what does this mean? Like in one sense it says this, and in another sense it says that, and then it can take longer for us to try and figure out what it means. So it can be a little bit delayed with us rolling it out. And then we can think it means A, and then a cop does A, maybe not in Cspd, maybe in some other jurisdiction, and then it goes through this court process. I decided. They're like, well, no, it means B. And we're like, okay, it means B. And we'll start doing B now, right? It's just not always smooth and clear. But we do our best to stay on top of it. Because I could tell you, like, there's no cop that doesn't want to know the rules. There's no cop that wants to get out there and get into a use of force or get into a deadly use of force and then figure out, what do you mean I was wrong? Right? Nobody that has a uniform like this wants to be in that situation. They want to do the right thing for the right reasons, and they're not looking for fights and they're not looking for deadly force encounters, but communities pay police officers to keep things safe. And sometimes they go into harm's way, and sometimes they have to use force like that. And we want them on the right side of that decision-making process, even if they do give us C-, right? Like in my opinion, like C-, no one's in trouble. Okay, could we do it better? Sure, but we're not in trouble. Would I like for everybody to give me AA+ on everything? Sure. That's an unreasonable expectation for anybody in any profession. Make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm coming to you, Mom. You see that question?
Yeah. So, like, I have a couple. So, do you have to be 14 to get your driver lessons?
Oh, man, I don't know how old you have to be. I think you have to be like 15 and a half or something. Huh? Oh, see, you're going to know better than me. I'm so far from 14, I can't tell you. Like,
and next is... Oh, I lost my train of thought.
that's all right. We'll go over here. If you remember, we'll come back to you.
So when we're getting like pulled over, should we roll down our window before or after the police officer gets to our car?
I would advise you to roll it down before.
My answer is done.
Is there any type of program where they have community workshops or kind of like changes, every time there's changes in the law, let people know, because not everybody knows there's a change and, you know.
No, there's not any workshops that I know of. Maybe a legislator would have some of those. We pretty much focus on it's our job to follow it and move forward.
But you know how there's but usually there's police and community alliances and they, you know, work together and.
Yeah, there's just sometimes, there's laws that, like in Colorado, it used to be a felony to break into a car, right? We used to take people to jail for that, and now it's not. And then, like, a lot of people's reaction is just like the reaction on your face. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. We actually catch somebody in the act, like breaking into your car in your driveway, and then we issue them a ticket in front of your house and they walk. That's not us. You've got legislators that make a decision, and then it's our obligation to follow those decisions. We're not part of the secret police where we just do whatever we want to do. We've got to follow the rules like anybody else. Whether we like it, that's another thing.
I think we're questioning. Oh, wait a minute.
I'm a chatty Cathy tonight. This is about traffic, but not a traffic stop. I live on the Rock Island Trail, which is like a pedestrian trail that goes through the city.
Yeah.
And I have motorcyclists, people on vehicles come down
Electric
there.
bikes and stuff.
Dirt bikes,
Electric dirt
quads,
bikes,
like
yeah.
racing. My kids are out there like hopscotching
Yeah.
and playing around, and they're like getting blown away. I've done my due diligence in trying to get this reported. I have not heard back from a single soul. I've contacted Stetson Hills Police. I've done City Council. What is your advice at this point?
We have a traffic section, and I can't guarantee stuff because we run off of a priority system like anybody else does, right? And the more and more that we have like higher priority calls, and I know when anybody calls in on whatever issue that they have with the police department, that's their top priority. But we have like domestics coming in, we have robberies coming in, we have those sorts of things coming in on a regular basis, and we are going to go to the most dangerous things first, and then we're going to try and get to other things as we can. The fact of the matter is a lot of times we can't without specialized enforcement. And so if there's a GoCOS app, and you can go, you've done that too. You can go and make requests there for some enforcement in some certain areas. And then that traffic section lieutenant and those sergeants, like Sergeant Malco's part of that, they work them as the priority level within all of the other traffic things that come in. And I wish we could be everywhere, but we did. No police department that I know of has the numbers to be everywhere, and it's a hard answer for you.
Is it something they'll get to eventually, or if they can't address it in a timely manner, it kind of falls off and you have to refresh that submission on the website or calling in?
I would think that the more you refreshed it, the more it stays on their radar.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Kind of listen, everybody. Going back to what the young lady said about a one page or something, I thought about is common sense. Hey, this is what you think the law is. This is what the law actually is.
Yeah.
That's one little social media post you could do. And something you said about keeping it in the system, you have the ability to go to any city council meeting, any of these different meetings in the county. And when you get time, you get 2 minutes to speak, and monthly make that statement at the city council meeting. You have law enforcement there, you have the law officers, fire, everybody sees all there, and that's actually the city council members. They can say, okay, this is the third time that you've only been up here in the last 3 months. What are we going to do about it? Because once it gets to their level and it's stated, and if you actually have video or photo proof of this, it goes a long way.
Yeah, there's, and I'd agree. Like utilizing your voice in within our governmental system is a hallmark of the United States, right? And there's separation of power hallmarks too. So if you go to city council, that's a legislative body, right? City court is that judicial branch in the city system, and the mayor's office, which we fall under, is the executive branch. And so a city council member can't come to us and say, you're going to do this. They don't have the authority to do that. But do we listen to community concerns and when they're brought up at certain levels and those sorts of things? Sure. And generally, like what I'm going to tell you is I am going to follow the chief's lead. If the chief says our priority, based on everything that he knows at his level, and my boss, which is the deputy chief, those are the two levels of bosses above me, then we're going to execute their directions to the best of our ability, right? It doesn't mean I don't have authority and I can't do certain things within my own command here, but I've got overall responsibilities like responding to calls for service, the ones that I talked about that we have to meet. Is that making sense? Okay.
All right. No more questions?
You remember? Okay.
First off, I had ADHD, so I just wrote it down.
Oh, good.
LOL, are you the manager?
LOL, am I the manager?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
Laugh out loud, are you the manager?
Well, I know what LOL means, but I don't understand the question. Am I the manager? Can you explain what manager means more to you?
But so you tell people what to do, or since you're the commander,
yeah,
or chair, do you tell them what needs to be done?
In a lot of situations I do. So with CSPD, we have patrol officers, that's the line level rank. We have sergeants, which is above them, and then we have lieutenants, and then we have commanders. And so a commander runs a division, so this whole building, pretty much, there's a couple that don't directly report to me, but pretty much this entire building reports to me, and I'm essentially their boss or their boss's boss or their boss's boss's boss, I guess. But there's other commanders for other patrol divisions and other divisions across the city. Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yes. And okay, let me finish this. Or okay. What will get the driver or person in court like for like not doing like what you guys, for example, tell them to get out of the car, or maybe someone won't like someone gets kidnapped and the person who kidnapped him or her won't let him or her go. What would you do?
So that would be like one of those high priority calls that we're talking about. If we really think someone's being kidnapped, then, you know, when you talked about do we pursue anything, do we not pursue anything, that would get us into a category to talk about, are we going to pursue that car and are we going to do something to that car? And I can't tell you the exact answer on that because there's so many moving parts with that. There's so many different things that could happen. But it would be one of the most serious things that we would handle and would be a top priority for us, a kidnapping would be.
What questions would you have for the person if you found the kidnapped person or the person who kidnapped him or her?
Well, I'd have a lot of questions, right? Too many to go over now. But
the number one question for the kidnapped person and the number one question for the person who kidnapped.
Well, I guess number one for the kidnapper, why did you do this? Right?
Wow.
Right? And then I guess the first question, maybe not the number one, but just what happened to the victim. That'd probably be just the first question.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commander Velasquez. This was a great presentation, great topic, and great interaction. Definitely take a lot of information because this is probably the tip of the iceberg of what you guys do. And just back there, I was thinking it's a lot of juggling when you're in a situation of is it safety, is it law enforcement? And when it all comes together, it's not easy. So thank you for taking care of the community.
Oh, it's my cops that are taking care of.
And your team, for sure. So let's give another round of applause to Commander Velasquez. And we would appreciate your feedback. So if you could scan that QR code and do that survey for us, that would be great for your feedback. So go ahead and take a few minutes to do that.
I'm used to teaching it. If I teach it internally, it goes like twice as fast. How many questions? I'm just so used to being inside of the topic, right? That's just one of many things that they got to know. What they can do, what they can't do. We got that lunch, right?
It'll be 29 years. I'm gonna do whatever. I've lived below my means, and I've saved. I've truck is 20 years old. Done a lot of stuff like that, so I put myself not gonna look like it.
Thank you for taking the surveys. I appreciate you doing that very much. It helps us with our session feedback, and it helps us to know how to better our sessions moving forward. So thank you all for coming out tonight and for being a part of this session. Thank you again, Commander Velasquez, for serving our community very well. We appreciate you. We do have some gift cards to give away to 3 lucky winners tonight for your engagement, for coming out. So let me go down here in my goodie bag, see who gets. They're Sonic gift cards. Anybody likes Sonic? Okay. Sierra. Is that you? Miss Sierra, you got a Sonic gift card? Okay. All right, I got Gonzalez. Gonzalez?
Si, senor.
Franceschini? I don't know who that is. Maybe. Okay, we'll do another. Okay, Smith. Woohoo! Sonic's coming your way. All right, last one. I'm going to shuffle them up real good. Grunkenmeyer. Grunkenmeyer? No Grunkenmeyer? What? Okay, we got an old bag. Old batch. No Grunkenmeyer. Okay. Sorry. It's okay. Miss Mariah, we got you a gift card. All right, you guys, thank you for coming out. We appreciate you. On your way out, if you could, if you have any trash from dinner, there's waste baskets by the door. And we look forward to seeing you at your next session. And be sure to check your band app for updates. And we appreciate you. Have a great night.